Welcome back to Unwritten with Thomas Malpass, where we're on a mission to help the world find more purpose, passion, and peace in their everyday lives. Thank you for listening, and if you're new, go ahead and subscribe and follow wherever you are. In today's episode, I'm going to speak about a pretty powerful and not really controversial topic, but a topic that could get brought up a lot in conversation, but often people don't really do anything about it. But I'm going to cover questioning conformity and societal expectations, the power and importance of expressing your free will and finding your true path in life, breaking free from distractions and cheap dopamine sources, and replacing these harmful habits with fulfilling activities that can bring you more clarity, connection, and love in your life. So why should you question conformity? The reason is because from a young age, we are basically programmed to follow the script of life. We go to school, we graduate high school or get your GED, then from there you maybe get a job, maybe you get into trade, maybe you get a college degree, maybe you join the military like I did, and then you get married, have kids, retire, and your life just continues, and you get in this perpetual cycle of life where you go to work, you come home, you pay the bills over and over again, and you get lost in this cycle. And maybe it is something you do want to do, maybe it's not, but have you ever asked yourself in your own head, when you look in the mirror, what do you truly want out of life? Are you happy? Are you truly fulfilled? Are you doing things you're passionate about? For me, I was in the military for 8.5 years, and I always knew I wasn't going to stay in until retirement, which is 20 years. But I learned so much over that time about what it is I really wanted. You know, sometimes when you do things and you try out new things, you learn more about what you really want. So I encourage whoever's listening, if you're younger or even if you're older, try things that you might have been afraid to try and just do it anyways. Because more often than not, sometimes when you try these things, you'll find out if you like it and you could pursue it, or it was just something you wanted to try to see if you liked it or not. For me, this is huge with podcasting. You know, I was listening to podcasts daily during commuting, during working out. Anytime I had a chance to listen to something with headphones or in the car or even cooking, I would be listening to a podcast. And then I started asking myself, can I do that? You know, I listen to so much podcasts, why don't I start my own? And once I started, I actually fell in love with it. I love doing this. I love giving the opportunity for somebody to listen and maybe gain some insights that could change their life. So I encourage whoever's listening, just take 5 minutes of your time to question what you really want in life. Question the societal expectations that were placed on you, and ask, what do you really want? What would an ideal life look like if I just started doing the things that I wanted to do? Now, why is free will so important? So no matter what you believe in, God, a higher power, maybe you're an atheist, we all have free will as human beings. And in this free will, we have the power of decision and the power to choose what we want to do in life. Even when we're not born or raised in the best environments, And I know some people are more privileged than others, we still have a choice. We still have a decision. We still have this innate human capacity of free will. Now, knowing that we have free will, how often do you actually use it? How often do you take the time to stop, think, and exercise your free will to choose what you want to do? More often than not, we're afraid to express this free will because we're scared of judgment. We're scared of stepping outside the norm because it's contrarian. We're doing something different than most people. Maybe we're afraid of failure, afraid of the unknown, uncertainty. But what if we just embraced this fear, stepped into it? Because it's my belief that once you step into your fears, on the other side of that is growth and wisdom. And use this as fuel to express who you really are, maybe who you were meant to be instead. Today, you have the power to change direction, to pivot, to find your path, to explore, to take risks. You can rewrite your story today. Every day is a new day to start fresh, to open up a new chapter of your life that you were afraid to open. Next, why do you need to overcome cheap dopamine distractions, and why is that so important? Well, cheap dopamine distractions such as instant gratifying things like drugs, alcohol, video games, one of my guilty pleasures, endless doom scrolling is such a trap. You go on TikTok or YouTube and then you get caught in the algorithm. Netflix binges and pornography, a huge one that's taboo but very detrimental to our dopamine levels. All of these things boost our dopamine to a peak. And if you listen to Andrew Huberman or anybody in the neuroscience field, once we get a peak, this is what causes an addiction. We seek that peak, and our baseline dopamine levels are increased. So we need more dopamine hits from these cheap fixes to be in a perpetual state of a high dopaminergic state. This is common with drugs especially, but it's seen in anything that boosts your dopamine to insane levels. This is why pornography is extremely bad for men, because just think about if you're a guy and you're listening to this. I can't speak for women, but if you're a guy and you're listening to this, as soon as you finish willy whacking your thing, you get this peak in dopamine hit. Your dopamine is exploded, no pun intended. And once it's exploded, you get the post clarity, the post nut clarity. That's because your body is trying to get back into this homeostasis state of a baseline level. And I know for me, whenever I used to do it, it's something I've been cutting out lately. Whenever I used to do it, as soon as I'm done, I don't feel motivated. I feel like I've lost some energy, and I kind of feel ashamed and depressed. But my point is, if you don't succumb to these cheap dopamine fixes, or you use them as a sort of reward after you're done with your passions or something that could truly move the needle forward, if you use it as a reward after the fact, it will be more worthwhile. You see, the problem with cheap dopamine is that it eventually makes us numb, and it makes us unmotivated, and undisciplined. Although it may feel good in the moment, it will slowly pull and suck your soul away from the deeper, more fulfilling experiences in life. But when can I do these things? When can I watch porn? Although I don't recommend it at all, ever. When can I play video games or watch Netflix or watch a movie with a friend? That's amazing. Or binge something like alcohol, or I don't recommend drugs either, but something that will peak my dopamine levels. I would say you could do these in moderation. Let's say once a week. Or if you don't want to do something once a week, you could do something for 1 hour a day or something like that. But why do we need to break free from these distractions and cheap dopamine fixes? It's because it doesn't allow our minds, bodies, and souls to engage in meaningful and fulfilling ways. How do you expect to create genuine connection, self-love, and compassion for yourself if you're distracting yourself and not getting to know yourself through cheap fixes? I love watching anime, I love playing video games, but I also know that doesn't get me closer to what I really want to accomplish in life. Sometimes just a walk outside, getting some sunshine, finding more clarity, being and sitting in quiet solitude allows your brain to process whatever it is you're thinking of, to get to a point where you get to this decision of what you want to do in life. If you're constantly distracting yourself, you don't give your mind and body and soul the opportunity to even reach this point of decision of what you want to do in life. At least for me, I need clarity. I need to go exercise. I need to meditate for 10, 20, 30 minutes, sit in silence with myself to get to a point of clarity. That's my point here. So instead of being addicted to these cheap fixes, imagine being addicted to your passions. When you're so caught up with distractions and you get so caught up and you replace that with being caught up with what you love and what you want to accomplish. Once you walk away from the distractions and you become focused and on purpose, you'll naturally start to be more fulfilled in your life, even if you're not at the point where you want to be exactly. And all you have to do is start small. One of the things I've noticed lately for myself personally is my screen time on social media. I have 30-minute and 15-minute timers on all my social media apps. So I get a notification that says you have 5 minutes left on this app until it's locked out for the day. And I do have the option to override that. And I'd say about 50% of the time I do, which is something I'm trying to work on. But you'd be surprised at how much screen time we have, and this is something I'm working on. So instead of being on your phone, and let's say you do have that timer, once that timer goes off, that's 30 whole minutes of the day. That's like 1/50th of your day, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is kind of a lot. It's like, I don't know, it's like 5% of your day. 30 minutes is like 5% of your day. And to me, that's a lot. That's 5 minutes, or that's 5%. You could be doing something else. So instead of that, set your phone down, start working on whatever it is you want to work on, or just go outside, go for a walk with your pets. If you have a pet, go cuddle your pet. Sometimes just cuddling my pet brightens my day. Do anything that'll help you gain more clarity instead of distract you from your clarity. And for me, that's exactly what I just said. Walking, hanging out with my pets, maybe journaling, anything of this nature. And I think once you start to align yourself with discovering your passion, doing things that aren't distracting you from living your life of fulfillment and peace, the possibilities and opportunities are endless. You start to work on yourself, you start to do things that you love to do. You don't limit your potential because you're practicing your potential. And you can live every day waking up with purpose and meaning. Even if you're not at your superficial goals per se. Like, we all have goals. It's amazing to have goals, but what keeps me going is this purpose and this fulfillment of just doing work that I love to do. And there's a point in time where you're going to be doing work and it feels like you're not getting anywhere. Like me, for example, like, I have goals. I want to monetize and make a living out of this and content. But it's not going to happen overnight. And you can't have your sole focus on that. Your sole focus should be living every day with purpose, living every day with fulfillment, having intentions, positive intentions every day to live a life of meaning and purpose. And the goal should be to take one step forward every day, to progress forward every day, not necessarily on the end goal, because there really is no end goal of your life goals. There's always going to be something more. So if you just focus and let the goal be progress every day, taking a step forward every day, you won't get so discouraged in the long run. Now, all of this is going to require you to be disciplined, tune out distractions, like we said, staying focused and building these daily habits that get you into this state of productivity, a state that you want to be in, a state that aligns with who you really are. I encourage you to question conformity, express your free will, break free from the distractions, and replace it with your passions. And walk away from these cheap dopamine fixes and walk into more fulfilling, purpose-driven fixes. Even if you just take one step today towards your desires and cut one thing out and replace it with something that feeds your mind, body, and soul, that's enough. You are enough if you're listening to this. No matter what stage of life you are at, you are enough to do whatever it is you want to do in life. You are capable of creating a life that you truly want and desire, free from society's expectations and pressures placed on you. So what will you choose today? And as always, everybody, stay curious, keep going, never give up. You got this. Peace.